Welcome to the next session of Programming for Problem Solving. The topic of the day is sorting algorithms and finding the roots of a quadratic equation. So what is sorting? Sorting refers to systematic ordering of elements in a list. So what we are going to do, some ordering or rules for sequencing of the elements is given to us. We will follow that rule and then sort all the elements or arrange all the elements in the list depending upon that ordering sequence. Now the ordering sequence can be of two types. One is ascending order and one is the descending order. Ascending order is an ordering in which all the elements are arranged in a non-decreasing order. For example, please have a look at the screen at the bottom. So there is a list that I am forming 1, 3, 3, 4, 6, 6 and 8. Now this is a list in ascending order. We are increasing and then there is no increase, there is increasing again and there is no increase from 6 to 6 and then we are again increasing. But one thing is for sure that this is a list which is in non-decreasing order. Also the mathematical you can say model or mathematical representation for ascending order can be every element in the list at position n. For example, a of n. This represents an element in the list at position n should be greater than or equal to the element that is at position n minus 1. So if this rule is satisfied, that means your list is in ascending order, that the element at position a of n is greater than equal to the element at a of n minus 1. Then what is descending order? When the element at a of n is less than equal to the element at the position a of n minus 1. So this should be true for, in case of both ascending and descending, this should be true for all elements in the list. If this is true for all elements in the list, then the list is in ascending order. If this is true for all elements in the list, then the list is in descending order. So we have a number of algorithms that we can use, and each and every algorithm has different criteria, different method for solving the problem, and different complexity also. Complexity in terms of time means the number of steps it takes. The first algorithm that we are going to do is called the bubble sort. The bubble sort is an algorithm, sorting algorithm, which takes n minus 1 steps to solve the problem, sorting problem. What is n? N is the number of elements in the list. If you have 20 elements in the list, then 19 steps it will take for the bubble sort to solve the problem. Now, how many comparisons happen in each step? The first step will have n minus 1 comparisons. And with each step, the number of comparisons will reduce. Now let me give you an example for the same. If you have 10 elements in the list, the total number of steps required are 9. Now how many comparisons will happen in the first step? Step 1, the total number of comparisons will be 9. In step 2, the total number of comparisons will be 8. And then finally at step 9, you will have only 1 comparison. So this is how the bubble sort actually works. It is a process that involves n minus 1 steps for any value of n, and it will have n minus 1 comparisons at the first step, and the number of comparisons will reduce by 1 in each step. So let us start with an example of how the bubble sort actually works. So this is a representation of a list that is given on the top, plus the number of steps it takes, or the number of comparisons performed in each step. So as you can see right here, this is the initial list that has been given to us. Now what happens in step number 1 is we place the largest element in the list at the last position. So what we are going to do, we are going to place the largest element of the list at the last position. So how we are going to do that? We are going to compare the first two elements in the list. If the first element is greater than the second element, we are going to interchange them. But in this case, 12 is smaller than 67, hence there is no need to swap. Compare then second element with the third element. If the second element is greater than the third element, then swap these two numbers, which is true. 67 is greater than 54, and hence you can see that 54 and 67 have been swapped. Now check the third and fourth element. Yes, the swap is required and both the numbers have been swapped. Now check the next two, 67 with 28. Yes, the swap is required and the two numbers have been swapped. Now the last comparison, compare 67 with 47. Yes, the swap is required. So 47 and 67 have been interchanged. Now you can see that even though the complete list has not been sorted, but after step 1, 67 has been placed at its correct position because it is the largest element in the list. Now this is the sorted list. This single element list is the sorted list, and the unsorted list has been reduced by one element. So now we are going to only sort the first 5 elements. So let's move to the step number 2 and see how we are going to achieve that. So this is the list that we got from the step number 1. We are going to again start by comparing the first two numbers and see if there is any need to interchange. Now 12 is smaller than 54, hence no need to interchange. 54 is greater than 34 and hence the two elements have been swapped. Now check 54 with 28. Yes, there is a need to swap these two numbers. 28 comes here and 54 goes here. Now check 54 with 47. Yes, there is a need to swap. 47 comes here and 54 goes here. And hence now we have the sorted list of two elements, and the unsorted list has been reduced to 4 elements. So in the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to apply the sorting process to the first 4 elements only. So compare the first two elements again, and there is no need to swap as 12 is smaller than 34. Now check 34 and 28. Yes, there is a need to swap the two numbers, and you can see that 28 and 34 have been swapped. The next is check 34 and 47. There is no need to swap as 34 is smaller than 47. So what we get here is that 47, 54 and 67 have been sorted, and our unsorted list has been reduced to 3 elements. Now you can see that the unsorted list is also sorted because it is already in the sorted form. But the bubble sort algorithm does not take that into consideration, and it will complete all the steps even if the list is sorted. So what will happen in the next step? We are going to perform the two comparisons. In both the comparisons, there will be no interchange. And in the last step, we are only going to perform the one comparison, and we are going to compare the first element with the second element, and there is no need to swap. And what we get in the end of the bubble sort algorithm is a sorted list, as it has been shown in the table below. So this is what we get. This is the sorted list. So what is the procedure that is followed by the bubble sort? That is to place the largest element in the list at the end during the step number 1, and then place the second largest element in the list at the second last position. So this is how the bubble sort algorithm actually proceeds. Now we will have a look at the program of the bubble sort. So this is the program to apply the bubble sorting on the given list. It is very easy algorithm. The total number of steps will be less than 1 less than n, hence I is equals to 0, I less than n minus 1. The total number of steps will reduce by 1, and hence it is written j less than n minus I minus 1. So with the increasing value of I, the number of comparisons will reduce. And what we are simply used to perform, we are going to swap the two numbers if the first number is greater than the second number. So please check if a of j is greater than a of j plus 1, then swap the two numbers. Otherwise, there is no need to perform the swap. So this was the program for solving the bubble sort. A very easy and a basic program and a very basic algorithm. I hope the concept is clear to you. And now we will look at the second algorithm. The second algorithm is selection sort. The selection sort works exactly in the same fashion as the bubble sort. In the bubble sort, we find the largest element in the list and place it at the last position. Whereas in the selection sort, we find the smallest element in the list, and then we place that smallest element in the list at the first position in the list. It again involves n minus 1 steps, and with each step the number of comparisons reduce. Exactly the same as in bubble sort. So let's have a look at the example of the selection sort. So here we have a list of 4 elements. So initially what we are given a list of 4 elements, and we assume that the first element is the smallest element in the list. That is why the value of the variable min to begin with is 1. This is the location of the element which is the smallest element in the list. Now by default we assume that the first element is smallest in the list. Now we will try to find an element which is actually smaller than this. So let us check whether the element number 2 is smaller than 54. The answer is no. Now let us check if the third element in the list is smaller than 54. The answer is yes. 19 is smaller than 54. Hence, the location of the smallest element in the list turns out to be 3. Now check the fourth element with the current smallest element 19. There is no change because 19 is the smallest element in the list. Now what we are going to do, we are going to interchange the two elements, that is the first element and the smallest element. So smallest element comes at the first position and 54 is shifted to the third position. So what we have is a sorted list with smallest element at the first position and n minus 1 elements which are unsorted. So now we are going to apply the sorting algorithm or the sorting process on the 3 elements only. So let's move to step number 2. So this element is already sorted. The first element here in this list is already sorted. So we are only going to apply the sorting here. So 67 becomes our first number in the list, which we by default we assume to be the smallest number. That is why the value of minimum is equals to 2. Now check the value of the third element in the list and compare it with 67. 54 is smaller than 67, and hence the new minimum becomes 3. Now check 54 with 24. 24 is smaller than 54, and hence the location of the smallest element in the list is 4. It does not include the first element because it is already sorted. So now we have found the smallest location of the smallest element in the list, which is 4. We are going to interchange it with the second element. So 24 comes here and 67 comes here. Now we have a sorted list of 2 elements and an unsorted list of 2 elements. Because the unsorted list is of only 2 elements, there will be only one comparison. So compare the 2 elements 54 and 67. Because 54 is smaller than 67, hence the minimum will remain 3 and there will be no need to interchange. And 54 is actually placed at its correct position. So now we have a sorted list of 3 elements and only one element is left. And there is no need to sort the single element, and hence what we get is a sorted list: 19, 24, 54 and 67. So what is the principle of the bubble sort? To find the largest element and place it at the end of the list. What is the principle of the selection sort? To find the smallest element in the list and place it at the first position. So that is the only difference between the two algorithms. Other than that, the number of steps and the number of comparisons all are same. So this is the program, a simple program to find or to sort a list of elements using the selection sort. So this represents the number of steps that we are going to perform, and this represents the number of comparisons that we are going to perform. And this is by default, assuming that the first number in the list is the smallest number in the first element in the list is the smallest element. And the most important one is this: if you find that any number in the list when you traverse is smaller than the first element, then we simply change the value of the minimum index. And at the end of the list, when all the comparisons have been done, we swap the first element in the list with the smallest element in the list. That is it. So there is only the 5 things that you need to take care of: the number of steps, the number of comparisons, the minimum index to begin with is the first element. We interchange the index if we find another small element than the current small element, and the last step is to interchange the first element in the list with the smallest element in the list. So that is it. So this is the second algorithm that we have done. The last algorithm is called the insertion sort. Now, insertion sort, as the name suggests, that we are going to insert the element at its correct position. So that means we are going to sort the list as the elements are entered into the list. So what we are going to assume is that we will reduce the list to only the single element, that is the first element in the list, and we know that a single element in the list is always sorted. So from the whole list we break that list into 2 parts. One is the first element and all the remaining elements. First element is at its correct position because we assume that with single element the list is already sorted. Now we are going to pick up the second element in the list and place it in the correct position. If it is smaller than the first element, it will be placed at the first position and the second element will be shifted to the second position. If it is greater than the first element, then it will be directly placed at the second position. So this is how we will insert all the elements one by one at its correct position. So the sorting is performed when the elements are inserted. So let's have a look at this particular example. The total number of elements in the list are 4, as you can see here: 54, 67, 19 and 24. So what we are going to do, this element has been placed at the first position. So we assume that this is a sorted list with only the single element. So now what we are going to do, we are going to place the second element, that is 67, at its correct position in the sorted list. What is the current sorted list? The current sorted list is only of the single element, which is 54. Now check the value of 67 and compare it with 54. Now 67 is greater than 54, and hence it will be directly placed at position number 2 in the list. So now we get a sorted list of two elements, 54 and 67. So let's see what happens next in step number 2. Now we have a sorted list of two elements, 54 and 67, and we will place the third element, which is 19, at its correct position. Now compare 19 with 67. Let us compare 19 with 67. 19 is smaller than 67, and hence the 67 has been shifted to the third position. Now compare 19 with 54. Because 19 is smaller than 54, that means 54 has been shifted to the second position. Because we have reached to the first position and we cannot go further than that, and hence 19 has been positioned at its first position. So now we have a sorted list of three elements, that is 19, 54 and 67. In the last step, we are going to place 24 at its correct position. So how can we place 24 at its correct position? We will compare 24 with 67. Now once we compare these two numbers, 24 is smaller than 67, and hence 67 will be shifted towards the fourth position. Now check 24 with 54. Again 24 is smaller than 54, and hence 54 will be shifted towards the third position. Now check 24 with 19. Because 24 is greater than 19, and hence there is no need to change, and 24 will be placed at the second position. And what we get is the sorted list. The sorted list is 19, 24, 54 and 67. So this is how the insertion algorithm actually works. So let's have a look at the program for the insertion algorithm. Just like all the other algorithms, it will also be divided into those 5 steps only. So the total number of steps it will take is 1 less than n. So starting from 1, it will go up to I minus n. So key is equals to the first element. So we have saved the first element, and j is equals to I minus 1. Now we are going to start with the comparisons. We will continue with our comparisons till the value of j is greater than 0. That means we have not reached to the first position, and the element is greater than the element before that. So we need to swap those two elements. If the element at position number 4 is smaller than the element at position number 3, we will continue. If the element at position number 3 is smaller than 2, then again we will continue. But we will stop if the element at position number 4 turns out to be greater than the element at position number 3. Then there is no need to continue. We will place the element at position number 4. So I hope the insertion sort program is clear to you. Please try these programs in the lab so that you have a better understanding of how these programs actually work. First of all, the criteria is to understand the examples. If you can understand the examples well, then it is easy to write the algorithm or the program. If the examples are not clear, then writing the program is impossible. What is the complexity of the algorithm? The time complexity of any algorithm is the number of steps it requires successfully to solve the problem. You cannot specify the exact number of steps, so we are only concerned with giving the complexity in terms of big O notation. What is big O notation? It is not for you to go into detail of it. It actually represents the worst case. What is the worst time that your algorithm can take to resolve? So please have a look at some of the examples that have been given at the bottom for a better understanding. One type of complexity can be in terms of constant number of steps it requires to solve the problem. That is 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. So if your algorithm requires 3 steps to solve, then we call it as a constant number of steps. That is it. No matter what is the size of the algorithm, it will take 3 steps. The second is in terms of n. N means the number of input. So your complexity is not constant, but it depends upon the value of n. How? It can be n, it can be 2 into n, 3 into n, or 4 into n. So that means the complexity depends upon n. Or it is the power as defined here, n power c, that is n square, n cube, or n4. So let us suppose that you have a complexity such as this: n square plus 5. You have n plus 3. You have n square plus n. Let us suppose that your complexity for 3 different algorithms turns out to be this. Then what will be the big O complexity? How we are going to represent the big O complexity of n square plus 5? Which is the greater of these two terms? N square is the greater of these two terms, n square plus 5. Because when the value of n will increase, 5 will not increase, only n square will increase. So we will say that the complexity here, the 2 means square, not n2, but it is n square. So n square plus 5 means that the big O complexity of this algorithm is n square. Pick up the bigger term, n plus 3. When the value of n will increase, 3 will not increase, only the value of n will increase. So hence the big O complexity of n plus 3 is O of n. The last is n square plus n. When the value of n will increase, the increment in n square will be much, much larger than n. So hence the big O complexity will be O(n) square. So what we conclude, in representing the complexity in terms of big O notation, we pick up the element with the highest power. So what is the complexity of the 3 algorithms that we have done? The complexity of all the 3 algorithms is big O n square. So what is the time complexity of bubble sort, insertion sort, and selection sort? It is n square. So I hope it is clear to you. Now we move towards the next topic, and the next topic is finding the roots of a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation given in the form ax square plus bx plus c, we are going to apply the direct formula to find the roots of the quadratic equation, that is minus b plus minus under square root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So what are the different important cases? If b square is less than 4 into a into c, that means we are not going to find the roots, it is not real. If b square is equals to 4c, then the roots are same and real, so we are going to find it out. The value is given at the bottom. And if b square is greater than 4ac, then the different formula will be applied as it has been given at the bottom. Now let's have a look at the program. Now this program is very important from the examination point of view as well. Please have a look at every step very carefully. So we are supposed to find the roots for a quadratic equation, and the 3 values have been given here, a, b, and c. Now If the value of a is equals to 0, that means this is not a quadratic equation, that is a linear. So that means there is no need to perform any operation and we are going to return. The output will be invalid because the value of a cannot be 0. If the value of a is 0, we are going to simply return. Now, if the value of a is not 0, then we are just going to compute b square minus 4ac, and the result will be stored in D. Then simply apply the three rules that have been given in the last slide. If the value of D is greater than 0, then please compute this and return. If the value is D is equal to 0, then you are supposed to return this. Else means that the value of D is less than 0. That means you are going to return this. So overall, the program is divided into, first of all, find the value of A. If the value of A is 0, no need to do anything. If the value of A is, if the value is equals to 0, do nothing. If the value of A is not equal to 0, then compute B square minus 4AC. And then there are three conditions: either it is greater than 0, either it is equal to 0, or either it is less than 0. Now what to do if it is greater than 0, less than 0, or equal to 0? That has been given in the last slide, as you can see here. The three cases have been discussed, what you are supposed to do. So I hope the concept of what is quadratic equation, what are the important cases in the quadratic equation, and how we are going to write the program to find the roots of the quadratic equation. I simply request everyone to try these programs in the lab to have better understanding. First of all, take the examples, see if you can solve those examples, and then try to write the programs. Thank you very much.